There are a lot of new players getting into Phasmophobia these days, and in this video I wanted to take an opportunity to go ahead and show some of the biggest mistakes I see new players make and how you can go ahead and correct these mistakes in your gameplay to have the best possible ghost hunting experience. Now, these mistakes are going to be anywhere from finding the ghost room, to looping, to getting evidence, and anywhere in between, and they're not in any particular order. But hopefully somebody finds these beneficial and they learn something from it in the long run. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So I figured the best way to go ahead and start this video off is to do it on Professional, on Tanglewood, which is probably going to be one of the first maps you play as a new player, and do it with all tier 1 gear. That way you're looking at gear that you're going to be familiarized with very early on in your gameplay experience. Let's go ahead and grab some starter equipment and get ourselves inside. When you get into Phasmophobia, the first and foremost thing I notice players don't do is they don't go to find their hiding spots. My recommendation to you is before you go turn on the power or start looking for the ghost room, find out where your hiding spots are. The harder the difficulty you play, the less hiding spots there are. Don't ever assume that all of your hiding spaces will be available to you because they could be blocked off like this. So make sure you understand exactly where it is opportune for you to run to when the ghost starts hunting, because if it starts hunting and you go the wrong way and you don't have a smudge stick on you, you will die immediately and lose everything. The second thing I recommend doing is turning that power on. A lot of people don't realize that if you have weather effects on your map like snowing outside, it's going to make the temperatures inside a lot colder. Harder to find the ghost room with the thermometer. But if you turn that breaker box on, it'll allow the furnace to kick on and start heating up the entire house. Now, we can see here with the tier 1 thermometer that it's kind of sitting everywhere right now at 10 degrees Celsius. You can see that red line hitting 10. What we're looking for to find the ghost room with the tier 1 thermometer is we're looking for the biggest drop off in temperature. So when I enter a room and that 10 starts to drop down below 10 to 9, 8, 7, 6, you're going to notice that is your ghost room. You're not looking for a specific number in temperature right now. You're looking for a significant drop off. Here we have it here. You can see actually my breath is coming out of my mouth. The breath indicates not freezing temperatures. It means that the ghost room is 5 degrees Celsius or less. Could it be freezing temperatures? Sure, but it does not mean freezing temperatures. That was an old game mechanic that has been removed for some time now. By the way, if you're on Amateur, Intermediate, or Professional, you have the opportunity to see the breaker box on your map. You can see here, right here, Tanglewood Drive. This is the first floor. You have that big green icon on your map right there. That's telling you that the breaker was in the garage. So if you ever don't know where the breaker box is and you're on one of those difficulties, check the map. And to go ahead and see the basement of the map, you just click the down arrow. And if there was a second floor, you would hit the up arrow, but there is not on this map. When it comes to spirit boxing the ghost, I see a lot of new players go ahead and turn on the light and go inside the room and try to get their spirit box. This will not work. The light inside of the room, this light bulb here on the ceiling, would have to be turned off to actually get spirit box response. Also, if you go on over to your overview page, it says for Professional at least, the ghost will respond to "we're unsure." If you're on a slightly easier difficulty, it would tell you it responds to everybody or it responds to people who are alone. You have to be able to take that into consideration, because if you're trying to get spirit box while somebody else is in the room with you, it may not want to speak with you with other people around. So it's always better off to try to start spirit boxing by yourself with the lights off. When it comes to sanity and Phasmophobia, my best practice is to never let my sanity fall below 50% sanity. That is the sanity threshold that most ghosts will hunt in the game. Sure, there are some ghosts that do hunt a little bit earlier, like the Fae or the Demon, but some of the ghosts also do hunt late, like the Shade. So it's important to try to keep most ghosts at bay and to try to keep your sanity above that 50% threshold. So if you start to see yourself getting close, go ahead over to your sanity pills and pop one. Try to regain your sanity a little bit. Also, if you want to be able to retain your sanity for the most time possible, make sure you turn on lights in the areas that you are walking through, because the well-lit areas are going to drain your sanity significantly less than the darker areas that you're going into. When it comes to putting down the Crucifix, and I recommend definitely putting down a Crucifix if you see yourself getting close to that 50% sanity threshold, I definitely recommend going ahead and using your placement button, whatever it may be. If you're on keyboard and mouse, it probably is F unless you rebound it. And you're going to be able to see in the far distance, there is a glowing circle that shows you the exact radius that this Crucifix is going to protect you. It's so important to make sure you place it in the center of the room to try to get the most out of that radius of the Crucifix protection. So you see right now, if I were to place it right here, I have it protecting me all the way to that wall back there. and a little bit towards a quarter of the way from the mattress there. So that's actually a pretty good radius of protection. But if I were to go ahead and place it very close to this wall, a lot of my protection radius would be going into the wall. It wouldn't benefit me at all in protecting me from this ghost hunt. So it's important to try to place it in the center of the room for that reason. Now, Tier 1 dots is definitely one of the most difficult pieces of equipment to use in the game. It's just not great, and it has a very wonky sense of projection. But one of the things I see a lot of new players do is they'll place it on the floor like this, and they'll say, that's good enough. I typically don't do this because if you see here, when you're holding it perfectly, it projects out in a perfect circle in front of you. If you place it on the floor and you have it looking towards the direction you want, you're losing much of your dots to the floor and you're hardly getting any projecting outwards. So my recommendation for you when it comes to dots projection is to place it on a risen surface. That way it gets the full effect of the dots projecting forward. So an example of that would look just like this. Here you go. We have the opportunity to put it a little bit above this table so it's not sitting on the floor. So some of that cone is going downward for sure, so we're definitely losing a little bit of it, but we have a much more illuminated spot now and a more opportunity to see dots happen in action. As you can see in our journal, we do have a parabolic microphone objective for this round. I see a lot of new players take their Tier 1 parabolic microphone, knowing the ghost would be in the basement this round, and go ahead and just hold it at the floor like this. Unfortunately, if you have a Tier 1 or Tier 2 parabolic microphone, you will not be able to get responses through the floor like this. You will have to go on the same floor level as the ghost. So if your ghost in the basement, you go in the basement. If the ghost's on the main floor, you go on the main floor. If the ghost is upstairs, you have to go upstairs. And definitely don't wave it around like this. I would definitely recommend holding it in one specific location for a little while before moving it. Don't move it every few seconds. Just kind of hold it in place, because you're going to get your response a lot quicker that way. Also, real quick, I see a lot of players ask me about this a lot, and they wonder how I'm able to do this. As of the Eventide update in June of this year, you're able to carry 3 pieces of equipment plus an igniter. An igniter is any sort of a match, a Bic lighter, a Zippo lighter, any kind of lighter that's going to help you light either a candle or a smudge stick in the game. So watch this. We got a flashlight. We have a UV light. We have a smudge stick. That's 3 items right there. And I have a igniter as well. We have a box of matches to help us light our smudge stick there. Pretty exciting because the game has been out since 2020. And after all this time, the Phasmophobia players have finally realized they have a pocket and they can put something in there. Pretty exciting. Looking at the evidence we have this round, we can see that we have ghost orbs, spirit box, and freezing temperatures, leaving us with an on rail. Or you would think. What other ghost could possibly happen here with this evidence given sorts? The answer to that is the Mimic. Because if the orbs are fake, that would leave us with a potential Mimic. And what would we have to check for the potential Mimic? We would have to check for ultraviolet. And behold, we do indeed have ultraviolet, which means that we have ultraviolet, spirit box, freezing temperatures, and ghost orbs. Ghost orbs is your fake evidence given to you by the Mimic's ability, meaning you have a Mimic. So never, ever, ever assume that you don't have a Mimic if it's possible with the current makeup and the current available set of evidence that you do have. And for anybody here that has never experienced a Mimic before, a Mimic is a ghost that has the ability to mimic and duplicate the ghost ability of any ghost in the game. And it has an opportunity to go ahead and cycle through those ghosts periodically throughout the round. So you may experience one ghost, one hunt, another ghost, another hunt. It makes it a very, very unpredictable ghost, and it could be very scary at times. But with this particular next tip I'm going to show you a mistake a lot of people make on looping. Now, when it comes to looping inside of Tanglewood, there's 2 looping spots I recommend starting off with if you are a new looper. One of them is the car. The car is a very tall object, and you can loop the ghost around it, and it will never, ever see you on the other side. All you have to do is when you hear the ghost come one side, you go to the other side. I'm going to show you how this works. So we're sitting inside the garage right now, and I know the ghost is going to come out of that doorway to the basement because that's where the ghost is. You can see here in my inventory, I do have a smudge stick, and you have to make sure you have a lighter inside your inventory as well, because that is going to go ahead and light the smudge stick for you automatically when you click your interact button on it. There's no reason not to have a smudge stick on you when it's about to hunt, because if it gets too close, this is going to be your get out of jail free card. So here it comes. It's coming on up the steps. I'm going to turn off my lights, and I'm going to see which way it's coming from. It's coming that way. I can hear the footsteps. I'm going to keep going the opposite direction of the ghost. And you can even break line of sight from the ghost, and it won't even know where you are around the car. This is very, very beginner looping. This is a way that you can go ahead and observe the ghost when it's hunting, but be in very little danger. But just don't let the ghost have too much line of sight on you. When line of sight is when the ghost sees you. The longer it sees you, the faster it's going to get. There's only 2 ghosts in the game that don't have line of sight, and that would be the Thay and the Hantu. If you wanted to graduate up to the next level of looping, my recommendation would be going to go ahead and go to the Tanglewood Island here in the kitchen. If you turn off your electronics and you crouch down, the ghost actually can't see the top of your head above this countertop. So if it knows you're here, you can just keep going around and around and around. And again, it will not be able to gain any line of sight speed on you. And it looks like this. Here we can see the ghost's head clearly. We can see its blinking patterns, and we can see how much it's throwing if we're looking for poltergeist, or if we're looking for Oni blinking or phantom blinking. We can hear how well it's moving. And it never ever knew that I was there. It never ever had any chance to speed up on me. I was able to visualize it and see it throughout the entirety of the hunt. And for the next level of looping, we have the table in Tanglewood. Now, the table in Tanglewood is a fantastic looping spot because it gives you an opportunity to go ahead and have a nice surface area to go ahead and utilize your sprint to be able to always keep a little bit ahead of the ghost. It's just a perfect size and shape for it. One of my recommendations and one of the biggest mistakes I see people use when they're sprinting and they're trying to loop is that they use all their sprints immediately and they don't preserve any of it. One of the things you need to do when you're looping is don't use all your sprint. You need to use a little bit of it just to get away and then save it. Use a little bit, save the rest. It's getting close again, use a little bit, save the rest. And just keep doing this over and over again until the hunt ends. Now, again, I highly wouldn't recommend looping for anybody who's new to Phasmophobia. It's going to be very discouraging. It's going to be very difficult, but it is a challenge. If you're looking for a challenge, you're looking to step up your gameplay in Phasmophobia, give it a shot. What do you have to lose? But some money and some gear inside of the game. Just to kind of reiterate that, again, you just use your stamina a little bit, cut the corner, use it a little bit again when it catches up, cut the corner, use it a little bit again, cut the corner. And whenever I'm cutting the corner here, I usually don't sprint around that spot. I sprint on the long sides, and then I save my stamina, sprint again, save my stamina, sprint again, save my stamina. It's very difficult for me to try to understand how to verbalize how to loop. It's something that you kind of just know how to do, and the more you play in Phasmophobia, the more you're going to have a rhythm for that, and the better you're going to get at it. When it comes to hiding from a ghost during a hunt, some of the strongest hiding spots you could possibly have is a closet or a locker. But I notice a lot of people, especially new players, they'll go inside the closet, they'll hide, and they're going to keep their flashlight on. That's a big no-no. The ghost is going to be able to sense your electronics like this, and it's going to know exactly where you are, and it's going to kill you like that. My recommendation when it comes to hiding in this kind of spot would be to go ahead and do exactly this. Go into the hiding spot, grab the door with your interact button, drag it into your character, but don't let go of the door. Hold on to it the entire hunt. Turn your electronics off and just stay there. Because if you hold that door shut towards your character, if the ghost walks by that door and tries to interact with it, it will not be able to open the door. But the big issue is it'll be able to open up this door. So you have to be able to pivot really quickly and say, okay, it just touched that door over there. It's open a little bit. I have to let go of this door and quickly drag that one back in and continue to hold this one again. So it's really all about trying to hold the door towards your character because you can keep them shut. But if the ghost hears your voice, is able to identify your electronics, then it's going to rip the door out of your hand and it's going to go ahead and kill you no matter what again. It's probably why one of the reasons the locker, I think, honestly, is the number one most OP hiding spot, because all you have to worry about then is holding and close one door, and you don't have to worry about the second door to a closet. The next thing I see a lot of players do wrong in gameplay is to not steal the shovel. The shovel is interactable. Go up to the shovel, pick it up, go take it back to the truck. That's your shovel. You earned it. Put that shovel in the ceiling, let it do its thing. The last thing I'm going to touch upon is that when it comes to having an objective inside of your gameplay to go ahead and get an average sanity of below 25%, I see so many first-time players going inside and just going to go ahead, hiding in a dark corner, just waiting for their sanity to drain. There's something you can do to go ahead and make the process so much faster. Find your cursed object, take it, put it in your hand. Go ahead and use it. Don't use it until it breaks. Just use it for a second, because every single time you use that cursed object, even for a split second, it's going to drain a tremendous amount of your sanity. Let's see back. Is it 25% yet? Not yet. Let's look through it again. Again. And there you go. I looked through it 3 times. I dropped to 25% sanity. I know these lists of mistakes and these tips and tricks are only really cutting the top edge of the surface when it comes to playing Phasmophobia. There's so many more I can go over and do. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop something down in the comments below and I'll get back to you for sure. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you again next time. And until then, stay crispy.